Hey, what is that?
Oh, this is The Witcher 3, and I'm doing my New Game Plus playthrough. I'm going with an alchemy-focused build, putting all my skill points...
No, I mean that thing. That thing you're playing the game on. What is it?
The Steam Deck, obviously.
Oh. What is a Steam Deck?
What's a Steam Deck? Are you serious? What are you, 5 or something?
Yes?
Oh, right. Sorry, little guy. I'll tell you all about this thing, but first, we have to roll the intro.
What do you mean roll the intro?
Hey there, how you doing? I'm TechDweeb, welcome. Thanks for clicking on the video today. When I first got my Steam Deck, I showed it to my mom, and she had no idea what it was. So I explained it to her, and her version was, so it's a Game Boy for computer games? And that's the best, simple explanation of what this thing is that I could ever think of. The Steam Deck, a Game Boy for computer games. That was the sort of inspiration for this video. So thanks, Bob. For those who have no idea what the Steam Deck even is, I wanted to make a video that explains what it is in the most basic terms. Explain what it does, explain why it's so great, and even explain why the Steam Deck might be right for you. Yes, you watching this video. I don't care if you're a little kid, or a soccer mom, or a grandpa, or a pickle farmer, because even pickle farmers need to kick back and relax sometimes. Life is more than pickles after all. I firmly believe that everyone in the world would love the Steam Deck if they could only figure out what it actually is. Put simply, the Steam Deck is a handheld gaming console. Sort of like the Nintendo Switch. It's a way for you to play video games while sitting on your couch beside your family, or on a plane beside some strangers, or on the toilet, hopefully not beside anyone. What makes the Steam Deck different than most video game consoles is that it doesn't run games that you buy on discs or cartridges like the Xbox or the Switch. It runs computer games that you could download right on the device itself, through Steam. You can browse through the thousands and thousands of games available on Steam. They get downloaded off the internet and installed right on your Steam Deck. And you can see your games in your game library, and with the push of a button, you can start them up and play them. The Steam Deck is a gaming console, but it's also a computer. Maybe when you think of computers, you think of big, heavy computer towers full of lots of circuit boards and wires and fans, with monitors, keyboards, and mouses. Well, the Steam Deck takes all the most important parts of a computer and shrinks them down so that they're all neatly tucked away. And it has a built-in screen, and it doesn't use a keyboard and a mouse because it has game controls. And if you need to use a mouse or to type, you can use the trackpad or the touchscreen. You can even use it as a computer if you're into that sort of thing, but it doesn't feel like a computer. All the computery stuff is kind of hidden, and because of that, it feels just like a fun video game toy. Like a console. It's easy as heck, and one of the reasons that the Steam Deck is so well loved is because it makes it easy to play PC games without knowing how to use a computer. Anyone can play computer games on a Steam Deck, and computer games are awesome. The Steam Deck's hardware is another reason it's so well loved. It has an amazing screen, either the new OLED model or the LCD model. Both are great. The screen is nice and big, so it's easy to see everything on the screen. The controls are amazing on the deck. Everyone loves the controls on this thing. It's so comfortable in your hands, and it's super easy to use. Everything from the thumbsticks to the buttons to the triggers and the trackpads and the touchscreen. There are so many unique ways to play games on the Steam Deck that you don't get anywhere else, on any other device. Trust me, once you get this in your hands, you'll see exactly what I mean. You can also plug the Steam Deck into your TV or a computer monitor, either using a dock or just an HDMI adapter, and you can also use pretty much any wireless controller with it. Because of this, the Steam Deck isn't just a portable system, it's also a full-on home console, and you can play all the best single-player games on the big screen or multiplayer games with your friends or family or enemies. Don't give them the good controller though. Usually, a computer needs to run an operating system, like Windows or Mac OS. Well, the Steam Deck also has an operating system. It's running Linux, but it's very different here because the front-end software that you interact with, which is called Steam, makes it simple to do everything, really. It doesn't feel like a computer at all. It feels like a gaming console, like an Xbox or a Switch or whatever. When you're in the main menu, you can access your game library or open up the device settings to change things like your Wi-Fi or the screen colors and the controller settings. The games control great by default, but if you like to customize the experience, you can set up your own control schemes on a per game basis or download community control schemes that are just freaking awesome. Because the deck runs PC games, you have lots of options to tweak the graphics and the performance. Most games have their own graphics settings, and they usually choose the best settings by default, but you can get in there and tinker around yourself if you're into that sort of thing. And when you're in a game, you can press the quick access button, which brings up some important settings. In here, you can change the TDP, which is sort of how much power the Steam Deck is using. You can turn this up to make your games run better, or turn it down to make your battery last longer. There's some complex stuff in here, but the Steam Deck makes it easy by breaking it down into just a few simple options that you can play around with. It's like advanced hardware settings for dummies. I'm not saying that you're a dummy though. Definitely not you. The Steam store is the best game store, period. No other store does it as well as Steam. There are tons of extra features like community reviews and forums for each game and all the info you could ever want to know. The games you buy on Steam, you own those, and you can install and run them on any computer. So your PC gaming library isn't bound to this one Steam Deck, and you never have to worry about losing access to your games. You'll always be able to play all your games on any computer or Steam Deck. Steam also has a nice, easy system to find the games that run well on the deck. This little deck verified badge lets you know that this game is going to run great on the Steam Deck, and it'll give you a heads up if there are minor or major issues. One bonus to using Steam is that the games on the Steam store are usually cheaper than they are everywhere else because Steam has frequent deals every day. And also, Steam has these huge game sales several times a year where you can buy your games at a big discount. So you can build a game library without breaking the bank. There are also a ton of free games on Steam. And you can also find lots of cheap games through game bundles and websites like Humble to build a huge collection on the cheap. The best part about the Steam Deck isn't anything to do with the hardware or the controls or the operating system, it's the games. On this thing, you get access to the biggest, most amazing library of games that has ever existed. There are almost 70,000 games on Steam, with thousands being added every year. It has the latest and greatest hot titles, ports of console games from PlayStation and Microsoft, and of course the thousands and thousands of amazing indie games out there. If there's a hot new game that everyone's playing, chances are you can play it on the deck. It can be a little overwhelming at first to see how many games there are, but I'm confident that everyone in the world would find lots of games that they'd love to play on this thing. My mom isn't a gamer. She likes knitting and puzzles, but I found some games that she loves playing on here. She was obsessed with Hidden Folks for a while there. And this one, Papers, Please. And when she finds a game that she likes, she literally steals my Steam Deck for days on end. So what kinds of games would interest you? Farm management games? Story-driven narrative games? What about games that make you feel like a knight in medieval times? Or a spaceman with a gun? Or a cowboy? Or a dragon with fire breath? Whether you're a little kid or an old geezer, whatever you're into, whatever interests you have, there will be scads of games that you'll love to play on the deck. Scads, I tell you! I should mention that there are a few games that do not run on the Steam Deck in the default Steam software. For instance, Fortnite, which isn't on Steam, and Bedrock Minecraft, which also isn't on Steam. You can install Windows on here and play those games, but that's an advanced topic that we're not going to get into. Most computer games do come out on Steam, but there are a few that don't. But the overwhelming majority of games that exist in the world are playable on the deck, and that fact alone, the fact that it could probably run whatever game you want to play on this one single device, and it being no more complicated than installing the game and starting it up, sets the Steam Deck apart from any other device in the world. If you've decided to take the plunge and buy a Steam Deck for you or someone you love, there are a few options that you'll need to pick between. The Steam Deck just got an update. There's a new OLED version which offers a much improved screen, as well as a few other good tweaks. However, the older version of the deck is still amazing and you could totally be happy with that. One thing that I do want to mention though is that they all have different amounts of storage. The smallest Steam Deck might not hold much. However, all of the Steam Decks come with a micro SD card slot. So you can buy yourself a cheap micro SD card, slap it in the deck, and you'll be able to instantly expand your storage. My advice is to pick the best one that you can afford, but don't feel like you're missing out if you don't spend a lot, because even the cheapest Steam Deck is still amazing, and they all play games basically the same in the end. So just get whichever feels right to you. In my humble opinion, the Steam Deck is the best gaming device right now, and everyone, yes, everyone should have one. There are cheaper ways to get into gaming, but you get so much here for the price. And the experience of gaming is so great and the games are so good and cheap that there's no competition in my mind. The Steam Deck is well loved for good reason. And time again, new devices come along that are technically better, but the deck is still going strong with no end in sight, which is saying a lot. And that brings us to the end. There you go, my Explain Like I'm 5 Steam Deck video. Did this help you out?
Yep.
And do you understand what a Steam Deck is now?
Yeah, I guess. That was pretty long though. I kind of stopped listening halfway through.
Well, that's because you're 5, and you don't have respect for the YouTube algorithm.
Oh, don't get me started on the f***ing YouTube algorithm.
Wait, what?